Now it's time for Perspective on the programme today, and my guest on Perspective today has a major talent. It's a talent for smell and a talent for taste, because Paz Levinson was the best sommelier in her native Argentina from 2010 until 2014. In 2015, she became the best sommelier of the whole of the Americas, and in 2016, she became the fourth best sommelier in the world. She's now based at Maison Pic, picking wines for the Pic Group in Valence, Paris, Lausanne and London. Paz Levinson joining me now here on set. Thanks very much for coming in and talking to us.
Thank you.
Why wine? What is it that you love about it?
Wine, I love everything about wine. The viticulture, vinification, winemaking. I love all the wines of the world. I don't have a preference nearly, because it depends in which moment you are in the day. But I really, it's fascinating because we never stop learning. It's really, it's very, very vast.
And where did your love of it come from? Just from having the odd drink, or was there something else behind it?
No, it's just beginning working in a restaurant and learning also all about service, about service of the client and being in service. So one thing to the other, but really it was fascinating to me to smell the wines, to discover the differences, and then to study also more in depth everything. Just
to people like myself, I suppose, who don't know that much about wine, what do you actually do? Because we've all seen those images, haven't we, of sommeliers doing what they do with their wine and spitting it out again. But physically, what are you actually doing in order to taste the wine?
Yes, it's a lot of concentration. It depends how many wines we are going to taste. It depends if it's 50 wines, 100 wines. But I try, when for the client, I try to put it on earth. I mean, beginning with the sensations and really have pleasure with the wine. It's not a scary subject. Don't matter if we don't know enough. I think it's about pleasure. And if we know more, we're going to understand maybe and appreciate other things of the wine. But really, it's to have pleasure and to enjoy and to share. The wine is sharing.
And you said there, if you're going to taste 50 wines, I mean, how on earth can you pick out, if you have to, the one bottle or the one wine that you really, really love and want? Yes,
usually this kind of tasting, for example, we do 100 wines a day, so 50 in the morning, 50 in the afternoon, and we taste very concentrated, 2 minutes per wine. It's we put points, which is not very fair for the wine, but it's for facility and for, then we see which wine has the most points and what we feel about it. So it's an analysis, a very, very quick analysis. And yes, you have to be trained, but in terms of color, nose, and palate, we have to be very, very fast.
And you can really tell, can you, the real difference?
It's amazing. It's amazing. And we can taste. I mean, it's not that you have to drink water between the wines. Your palate starts to train, and you see the amazing difference between one wine to the other. Then if you come to get tired, so you stop or you go to a very different wine, like a white wine, and you start tasting white wine, and then you stop and you do a pause. But it's really, you see the big difference very fast.
And do you always agree with your colleagues, or is it really a matter of own personal taste?
No, we don't agree all the time, but...
It's good to know in a way.
No. But that's why in the very serious competitions, we have a panel of 5 people, 4 or 5 people, and we see each point. And if we really disagree with one wine, we are going to talk about this wine and explain why you put this point, why you put this point. But what we agree, I mean, professionals agree in style of wine, in quality of wine. So there are some things, parameters that we are mostly all in the same line. But then stylistically, maybe there are palates that like a little more oak and palates less oak. But we always talk about the differences.
And where is the world of wine going at the moment? Because I mean, here in Europe, not that long ago, I mean, it was all about French wine, wasn't it? And that's slowly changed. There've been so many other countries, not just here in Europe. I mean, you're obviously originally from Argentina, but from South America, from Australia. All those other countries are gradually, taking away bits of the French market and providing their own wines as well.
Yes, I think that the world today, the wine producing countries like France, it's opening. So that means also the winemakers and sommeliers and all the wine people, they're opening to know really what's happening in the world, what's happening in Italy, what's happening in Australia and New Zealand. So also with the communication and the Instagram, Twitter, all the wine of the world it becomes a little bit smaller because everybody is connected to each other and they see what's happening in one country and the other. But France still, it would be French dominant wine for sure, and has to be that.
France is always going to be up there amongst the best.
But it's a wine producing country and makes fantastic wine, and you have to drink your own wine. So, but really in terms of opening, I think today if we talk to a French sommelier, it's going to know a little bit more about a foreign wine that 5 years ago when I arrived.
And what about some of those small producers out there? I mean, is it easy for them to break into this market? Because presumably there are those really big organisations that have been doing it for years.
Yes.
Is there a way of kind of promoting and ensuring that they get a bit of a slice of the cake? If you like?
Yes. Today there are also some very small producers that are very, very famous, and everybody tries to buy the wines of these little producers that produce in so little
really nice
quantity
wines,
of bottles. So it's not I mean, if you are a big company or a small company, I don't judge if you're a big company, you don't produce good wine. I mean, I don't judge about these differences because sometimes we, as consumers, we tend to say, okay, I want the tiny producer that is very exclusive. And I mean, there are people that produce excellent wine in all the levels, in quantity and also in small quantity. But for the small producers, it's in communication, it's a little bit difficult. I mean, but today with the Instagram and things, we can buy a wine from a producer that produce 10,000 bottles, and that's all. And some of them are very famous, and it's very tricky to get the wine. Yeah. So they have also a good position.
I wanted to talk to you about climate change. I'm from the south coast of the UK, where people have started producing wine. Some of them are not bad actually nowadays. But I mean, everyone's talking about the fact that as temperatures rise, different areas of the world are going to be able to start producing more wine. Is that something that you're already seeing happening?
Yes. Well, with England, excellent sparkling wines and also Chardonnays and Pinot Noirs. So, and more than 1,000 hectares today in production. So it's quite a lot and amazing. But I think some regions, very warm regions today, they will have to rethink. And what is happening, they are exploring about grapes that they forgot that they had. And these grapes, they're better with warmth resistance, for example. So there is also, for example, in Douro, in Portugal, there are research about the old varieties that they stop using it in one moment, and maybe they will come and they will use them again. So a change in the grape varieties that we are going to see. I'm afraid, or I'm hoping it as well, because all the wine regions have to research how they will manage this climate change.
It's great to have you with us on the programme today. Paz Levinson, one of the world's top sommeliers, joining us here on set. I can almost smell the wine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.